thank you. 10:38 is your time now. A post-holiday surge of COVID-19 cases has forced several school districts, Henry, Fulton, and Cherokee counties, to go virtual at least through this week. It's the latest in a challenging year for teachers, students, and parents as classes bounce between in-person and online. Education and parenting expert Dr. Karen Aronian joins us live this morning to talk more about these challenges of learning from home. Dr. Aronian, good morning. Thank you for joining us.
Good morning, Katie.
So we really have locally here seen a big yo-yo of back and forth for some of these school districts. And this is really some of the others are gearing up to return from virtual for the first time. So how difficult is that for this back and forth for these families and teachers and this big adjustment?
So inconsistent and so difficult for the children and for the families to continue to mount their energies and their motivation to continue to learn and go back and forth in this yo-yo turnstile that you've also described. However, we do have some new information out this morning through the Rockefeller Foundation in conjunction with President-elect Biden that we will see rapid fire testing that will come into the schools and be so very helpful for assurance and to stop again this back and forth turnstile of inconsistency.
Yeah, that's good to hear. And one thing I didn't realize here too was how much funding plays into some of these decisions. And talk about how funding really works for these school districts that do return to in-person instruction.
Yes. What we have now is an extra package that's come through, which is giving us $54 billion in conjunction with the $30 billion that came through the CARES Act. So we do have more funding coming this way. But what has been a problem in the past is that the funding has gone into the states and not directly to the districts, which is what we need. And in an op-ed piece that was put forward by three of the superintendents of the largest school districts, Chicago and Los Angeles and New York City, there was a call for $125 billion extra dollars that go funneled directly to the schools. So we can have exactly what we need again, which is this testing in school and tracing, which is PPE, which is sanitization and cleaning, which is more for social emotional health. And finally, thank goodness, a call for summer school that would be needed to remediate and rehabilitate what we've all gone through.
Yeah, I mean, you mentioned it too, but let's talk about the toll this is taking on education, because President-elect Joe Biden has described the state of schools as a national emergency. Some children have been virtual since March. So all of this has to be affecting some children in terms of their education as a whole more long term.
It absolutely is. What we know already through the NWEA and through the MAP testing that was done with 4.4 million students through grades 3 through 8 is that we've seen a 10 percentile drop in their math scores. And it didn't show so much with reading, but quite frankly, this was not looking at our most marginalized populations, this testing. And you can tell, obviously, in relation to the numbers that 4.4 million doesn't represent 56 million students. We know for sure that originally NWEA had put out that it would be 50 percentile drop off in math and 30% in reading. We know out of places like West Virginia, they've had a 1-year drop in math. We know in their academic snapshot so far that they need to remediate 40% have had a drop in their academic performance at this time in relation to 7% of 6 months in this time frame last year. So we really are so far off in what we're calculating as academic growth loss. We know this amazing chasm is here that somehow we have to hurdle and bridge with our academic achievement. So again, this call by the superintendents, this call by Governor Newsom in California as well for this summer school necessity is going to be essential, as is private tutoring that can come through the schools and through organizations that are being helpful at this time. So we need to ask as parents, right, and as educators, how are we going to go forward with all of this extra support we desperately need?
Yeah, some important topics for sure happening in a lot of households. Dr. Karen Aronian, thank you so much for joining us this morning. We appreciate it.
Thank you, Katie.
Yeah, and for more information on today's segment or Dr. Aronian, you can head to our website, fox5atlanta.com, and click on the Scene on TV tab.